long time, and so had a very significant role to play. You mentioned too, Ukrainian-born Mykola Bishok is aged 45. I believe he is, in fact, the youngest cardinal in the college. The oldest taking part is Spaniard Carlos Osora Sierra, who's aged 79. It's interesting too, there are a couple of cardinals who have just turned 80 very recently, and had the conclave come a little bit earlier, they would have been allowed to enter. In fact, I remember when Benedict made his resignation, the timing of when the resignation went into effect, there was a consideration for the cardinals who were right on the edge there, and they did get everybody in. And yet, because of the circumstances of the time for that election, the number was still under the 120 limit.
There was one of the Syro Malabar, one of the Eastern cardinals, just missed it by a week, I believe, and others like Cardinal Sarah, I think, would have expired in 2 weeks. As long as they're under 80 on the date the conclave starts, they're entitled to enter the conclave.
I think it's the day that the Pope dies. In fact, there's actually some question about that. I remember we had this discussion amongst ourselves in the broadcast booth, and UDG is very specific, and that too is to ensure, because after the Pope dies, there is the cardinals decide when the conclave opens, and that has historically been a question because of traditional long travel times. And in previous eras where there was a lot of politicking amongst the cardinalate, that could have been an option to exclude someone. So they did change it so that it was from the moment the Pope died, and then it is very much in God's hands who is going to participate in the election. Speaking of age, a few more facts about the cardinals taking part in the conclave. 6 cardinals were actually born in the 70s. Including Cardinal Baldassare Reina, the vicar of the Diocese of Rome, Canadian Cardinal Frank Leo, whom we mentioned, Lithuanian Cardinal Rolandas Makrikas, the coadjutor archpriest of the Basilica of St. Mary Major. He was involved very closely.
We have smoke.
And we do have smoke. Thank you, Don. Well done. It does look like the black smoke is coming out, signaling the conclusion of the second vote, and I think a little earlier than we were expecting.
Yeah, exactly. We weren't expecting this until about 12, at least, at 12:30. I believe we have Kelsey in the square. No, sorry about that. We do not. We're going to try to get her on the line here shortly to get this reactions. But yes, you can see, now we see images of the crowd. The black smoke has come out of the chimney above the Sistine Chapel. Everyone's got their phones out, taking videos of it. And we're going to connect now here shortly. Okay.
And in fact, that's what you see if you're watching on the television screen. I think all of us remember, at least all of us in studio remember, various elections and conclaves. And as soon as smoke starts coming out, the first question on everybody's lips, is it white or is it black? Happily, this time the black smoke has been very clear and is now as well. And when there is that moment, the crowd just goes silent as everybody's looking up and determining for certain what color is the smoke.
And on the modern means of communication yesterday in the square in the evening, whenever the smoke came out, it was dark. It was the sun had already gone down, and you could see the screens, and you can see on the square that it's a close up there. But those as soon as the smoke started coming out, those TVs turned off, and so that everyone would look up to the actual chimney and to focus on what's real and not just what's in front of our in front of our screens. And then it came back on, and you could see that the smoke was black. And now we're going to go live to Kelsey, who's in the square. Kelsey, what are you getting the sense of?
Wow, it's actually pretty exciting right now because you can hear the surprise from people. I know a lot of people were thinking, well, it hasn't come out yet. There's been no smoke. We're not going to see anything for now. And all around me, you could hear cheers, but also gasps and a couple of people saying, oh my gosh, this is so exciting. It's the first time I've ever seen this. And so, yeah, there's a lot of people that are actually exiting the square now, probably going to get some lunch to get prepared for the next smoke watch. we'll just have to wait and see.
Yeah, that's. I think the first question, as Chris said, is it black or white? And the second question is, what am I having for lunch? Are my dinner reservations still
The priorities.
valid?
Can I get into the restaurant with 20,000 people trying to get their pizzas and their pastas? I wonder if,
Exactly.
yeah.
And it's interesting, you can see on the screen now that we've got the images, the square is not extremely full. There's heavy security to get in. You got to go through metal detectors. But the first part of the Via della Conciliazione is very full. That's a very packed area. And you can see people moving off, right, Kelsey?
Yeah, actually, it's you're right that in front of the piazza, Via Conciliazione is packed with a lot of people, a lot of reporters, but a lot of people. And actually in the square, right in front of the steps leading up to the basilica, that's pretty full, but around the obelisk, it's pretty empty. And of course, as you mentioned, Devin, a lot of people are exiting now, gonna get some water and food and recharge.
Yeah, because we're going to be back again this afternoon. That means the next possible smoke would be around 5:30. This is just a guess, more or less, of the indications that we've received. At that point, it would come out only if the first ballot elected a new pope, and so we would see white smoke only come out around 5:30 or 6 or so. Later this evening, for sure there will be a black or a white smoke at around between 7:30. It all depends on when the cardinals get started, and from there we will continue on, and we hope the cardinals are moving along in their voting process and guiding us toward the future of the church.
And again, very interesting phenomenon I think we saw last night. The square starts out almost not quite empty. There's always lots of people there, but it seems kind of sparse. And then people start filtering in, it fills up. But the moment, I think we all remember, the moment the white smoke comes out, everybody in Rome drops what they're doing. I remember John Paul II's, the conclave after John Paul II, and when Benedict was elected, people were actually leaving their cars by the side of the street and running to St. Peter's Square. We saw it too of Pope Francis, which was later in the evening, and although it was not so dense when the white smoke came out, by the time he appeared on the